Welcome everyone. Let's begin our lesson for today by going over our learning goals and success criteria. First, what are we learning? We're learning how to recognize practical applications of mathematics within your areas of interest, such as basketball. How are we learning it? Through the All-Star Virtual Field Trip assignment. When could you use this information? To become more aware of the mathematics that are occurring all around you, even when you don't assume that they are mathematical. How do we know we learned it? By getting a score of 4 on the All-Star Virtual Field Trip assignment. Now let's take a look at our agenda for today. We'll begin by going over our learning goals and success criteria. While we do that, you'll fill out your Get It Started. After that, we'll watch the All-Star Virtual Field Trip video. While we watch the video, you'll fill out the All-Star Virtual Field Trip assignment. At the end of class, we'll go back over our learning goals and success criteria. While you fill out your Before You Go, your only homework is to continue working on the linear equation study guide and any incomplete assignments that you may have.
We're here at the NBA Replay Center, and you're going to learn today how STEM affects many careers here at the NBA. Obviously, everyone wants referees to be perfect. Referees want to be perfect. Coaches want referees to be perfect. Fan bases want referees to be their view of perfect, which is their team getting the vast majority of the decisions in their favor. But for us, we understand that as human beings, we're going to make mistakes. The idea of our mechanic system, our foundational pieces, our curriculum, our trust, and our teamwork on one another is that we're more likely to reach excellence if we do that. When we make the decision to put air in the whistle, we expect our referees to get 90% or more of those calls right. And that's very, very important to us. It's great to work with the best athletes in the world. They're so good, they're so fast, that if we don't sequence our vision, we're not quick enough to keep up. One of the things our analytics department has shown us is that when we miss certain types of violations, they often lead to fouls on the opposing team. When an offensive player gets away with the travel, it often leads to a foul on the defensive team. That's an unfair advantage to an offensive team, and therefore we have to change how we're refereeing the game to make sure that we don't miss those first violations. As soon as an offensive player catches the ball, we've instructed our referees to focus on the offensive player's foot. When the dribble gets released legally, we then transfer that vision to the defensive player, and it's not just as simple as watching it like we watch something on TV. For us, our core values as a staff depend on teamwork and trust. And it's not 3 individual referees working a game, it's 3 referees working in unison with one another. And one of the things that we've taught and believe in is a mechanic system that allow our referees to know when and where they should be looking at different players and different situations in a game. That takes teamwork, that takes trust to know that if I'm looking over here, my partners are covering other parts of the game. We depend on the angles we take as referees, the way we place our body, the way and where we should look is based on 45-degree angles in 2 of the 3 positions and parallel angles in 1 of the positions to the sideline. And so how that really works is that if I have a 45-degree angle, my head has to move less as I look left and right to cover more players. If I cover my shoulders over here, then I have to turn my head over here to look at this play and my head back here. And in that process of moving my head, I miss action and I miss potential violations or fouls. And so learning how to properly position your body with the proper angles. And of course, you know, who knew it when I decided I wanted to be refereeing that geometry would play such an important role in my success. Because when we don't get good open angles to the action, we tend not to see things. And when we tend not to see things, people tend to get angry. We don't go through life agreeing with everyone, our brothers and sisters and our moms and our dads and our husbands and our wives. There's always points of contention. There's always disagreement. How do we learn to disagree respectfully? How do we learn to disagree through a sense of sportsmanship? Those are the goals that we have. One of the things that's been fascinating over my career as a referee is how technology has impacted our craft. Every referee on every NBA game has a pack that's attached to their belt loop on their pant, and that pack has a wire that comes up through their shirt and clips onto their shirt with a little microphone. And that microphone is set to a frequency that is an NBA whistle. And that frequency, when we blow our whistle, stops the clock. As a league, we're committed to innovation. One of the things that we talked about was an earpiece that you could speak through. But the problem with that is referees need to hear commentary from players and coaches, and we couldn't give up one half of our sensory perception on our ears for fear that we might be giving off the perception of favoritism. I spoke to this player over here, but I didn't hear this player over here, and because of our earpieces. And so we're constantly experimenting. And innovation is vitally important. For young people out there, I would highly encourage you to pay attention to the things that interest you, because they can lead you down paths that you didn't understand there was even a pathway to. And for me, that's what refereeing was. I started refereeing boys and girls in 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th grade, and really enjoyed that process. I wrote the NBA a letter, sort of cold calling them that I might be interested in being a referee. The NBA sent me back a list of the Pro-Am cities. I called the guy up, and he, appropriately laughed at me for thinking that they would just accept anyone to come in and referee pro basketball and college basketball players. But he said, well, if you decide that you really want to do this, if you go to a camp that I know about run by a pro referee and I get a good word back on you, then maybe you would be able to pursue this. We were sort of rubbing nickels together to get by. So I called my father up and said, I'd like to go to this camp. And I'll never forget his words. He said, well, if this is what you want to do, we got to figure out how to get you there, don't we? And I found out years later that my father took a loan out on a horse that we had named Lucky. It was a good horse that got me enough money to pay for the camp. So, it was important to me that my father had sacrificed and had risked something that was important to him. And so when I got hired, I flew home and interrupted one of my father's college classes that he was teaching. And I announced that the class was dismissed on his behalf. The class loved me for it. And I gave my dad that $600 check back, which was important to me. They don't come to Hico, Texas to find referees. You have to go out and find the world.
Hi everyone, we're here at the NBA headquarters in New York City, and I can't wait to tell you guys about what I do. Digital media is a field I never thought I'd be in. My plan for myself was to work in finance and work down on Wall Street, but I ended up at the NBA and I get to be in numbers every single day. Growing up, I loved computers, I loved technology. My mom and my dad are my biggest inspirations. They moved here from Armenia, they worked minimum wage jobs, and my mom in 1998 decided to go and get her bachelor's degree in computer science. And that was my biggest inspiration. And sometimes I look back and think about that 8-year-old girl who was reading math and technology textbooks, and now she's at the NBA doing huge mathematical and statistical projects for NBA executives, and I couldn't be happier with where I ended up. For my job, I look at social media data. I look for patterns and trends to see what users like to see on social media. What players do they like to read about? What players do they like to watch videos of? There's so much data that we have, and there are so many rows of numbers. And you can't really find a trend and a pattern just staring at rows and rows of numbers. So you have to find ways to analyze it, run a statistical analysis, run a mathematical analysis. All of that involves that algebra and that statistics that you learned in high school. And so when you visualize it and when you use the right averages and the right calculations, you get to find that one number that tells the best story. And that's the most important part of my job. One of the best examples I can share is a huge project that I worked on last summer where we were taking a look at our mic'd up content. Mic'd up is an incredible feature that we have that allows viewers to listen in on a conversation that a player is having during a game. We were posting those videos on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter without any captions. And we were realizing that around 80% of people were watching the video with the sound off. And for a video that's focused on the sound of the game, having people watch it with their audio off didn't make much sense. So seeing that helped us make a small but very important change, and that was adding captions to our videos. And that now allows users to engage with the sound on or with the sound off.
Come on! Let me hear it! Let me hear it! Come on! You good? Two. Push, push, push. Left, 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 left. Wait. Let's go, Jimmy. Oh yeah, I like this. This place is about to get locked. I like this. Hey, keep shooting. Keep shooting. No, you're good. I was waiting on this side though. Is it Believe It? Oh yes. Oh my God. Believe it!
Since we made that change, we realized that engagement around that video increased. Mic'd Up content is amongst some of our best performing content last season and this season. While technology is important to analyze the data, we have to make sure that we include that human touch so that we can understand why fans like to see certain players and certain teams. We can look at the averages all day and use that to tell a story, but being able to understand how people are reacting to our content is very, very important. So I'm going to show you guys an example of the type of work that I do on a daily basis. One of the data points that we look at is follower growth on Instagram and all platforms. One of the coolest things that we found last season was a follower growth on Instagram for Donovan Mitchell, who was a rookie last season. He started the season off at around 80,000 followers. By All-Star, he was at 580,000 followers, and he ended last season at 1.3 million followers. He was by far the fastest growing player on Instagram last season, and he continues to grow on a daily basis. We look at this data across every single player on Instagram, every team account, every league account, to understand the trends and to see why they're growing so quickly. And that's where that human touch comes in, being able to understand how that player performs not only on social media and not only on court, but off court with the fans. And when I look at this data, that's the story it tells me. On our team, we share our insights with executives and the whole league. So being able to share our findings and tell that story is very, very important. And that's something that I'm still working on and that I work with my manager to fix all the time. Because you can look at numbers and you can be able to visualize data and share a picture, but what insight are you going to find? How are you going to use that data to make a change? And that at the NBA is one of the most important things. Technology has changed so much since I was a kid, and you guys are surrounded by it. There's so much that you can do with technology, and there's so many careers in technology that if you really understand how to use it and you can shape your career around it, you can be extremely successful. Everything right now in the world relies on technology and data, and being able to understand how that works, well, you got the power in your hands.
So here we are at the NBA Replay Center. When you're at home watching a game, it often goes unseen the teamwork and collaboration it takes for the on-court officials and the replay center here to work together to get the most difficult plays called correctly. And any given night, we have technicians sitting here calling out the most difficult parts of our game to referee.
So the ball changed direction. See, it definitely hit his heel then. Okay, that would be perfect to show the referees.
They call that out to a senior replay coordinator along with an NBA official. When you see an NBA referee give this signal on the floor, that triggers certain avenues here at the replay center.
Take that, we were in replay here.
We start pulling up the plays. We start getting the best angles to be seen.
Best first, so what camera angle is this? Clearly in his hand? Okay, actually there's your answer.
And with that collaboration of on-court and off-court, we get the most pressurized calls called correctly.
That seems to be the best. Sean, how are you? Yes. Good, here you go.
Every NBA game has 9 camera angles that we can look at here in real time to give instantaneous feedback to on-court officials.
Camera 3, camera 4, camera 5, camera 6. Well, we have clear and conclusive on 2 angles, so that's the order we would want to show the refs.
There really is no angle that we can't get here that provides the most definitive looks for the pressurized moments that our NBA referees have to live under. Our work here at the Replay Center is intense. You're asked to do work in real time under great pressure. Like all of you studying for a test, NBA replay officials have to be ready for many possible outcomes. They don't know what's going to happen on any given night, so they have to be prepared. Technology is a great tool, but the balance between in-person skills gained over many years in collaboration with new technologies is what brings the highest level of officiating to NBA basketball.
Welcome to the Spectrum Center, home of the Charlotte Hornets.
When I started at this arena, it was being built, and I have been here ever since. A great characteristic I look for when creating my team is level-headedness, being able to multitask, and persistence.
A lot of people may not realize an arena runs very similarly to a city. We have a lot of different entities around our building, just like a city does. We all come together to establish one goal. For example, we could have a concert on a Saturday night. We'll get the floor back around 2 a.m. when they're finished loading out. And we have to have the floor, the Hornets floor, down ready for Marvin Williams to do shoot around at 9 a.m. So these guys need to work on a tight time schedule, making sure everything's done in that time frame that they have.
In the 14 years that I've been working here, we've hosted pretty much every large event that can fit in this facility, from college basketball games and tournaments, the largest concerts that are on tour right now, and of course, Hornets basketball games every season. And our team is responsible for bridging all the gaps and the ultimate liaison between all these departments to make sure all of these events go off without a hitch every day.
Our primary focus is the Charlotte Hornets home games. We have about 42 or 43 of them a year, and they had a different challenge being televised for each event. It makes our precision and timing that much more important. For every game that we have and the NBA has, to maintain the same experience for our fans, people watching on TV or in person, players, or people working, we have to follow a list of rules just like kids follow rules. Those rules are given to us by the NBA, from court length to arena temperature to arena humidity to camera angles and camera distances, Hornets lockers, shower head heights, shower control heights, everything in between. I originally went to school for physical therapy, and then I had a change of heart. I said my passion's really in sports and entertainment, and I changed my major to hospitality and tourism management. After that, I applied for an internship here with the Hornets, which I got in my fall semester. A job opened up here, and they called me, and I moved down 2 days after I graduated. I've been here ever since.
I grew up in a basketball family, which led me to play women's basketball at University of Nevada, Reno. I then did a master's program in sports administration, Virginia Commonwealth University, which gave me the opportunity to do an internship here with the Charlotte Bobcats at the time, and I have been here 14 years. One of the challenges of our building, it is situated on a single city block. This means that we have a lot smaller footprint to work with, and our conversions between event setups are a lot more challenging.
We use AutoCAD, an architectural design computer program, when we're building concerts and stages for different events. Concerts will send us their stage, and we'll have to input it into an AutoCAD on our floor, and then we'll build the chairs around that. Once we put all of the seating out, we'll send that plan to Ticketmaster, and they'll put that on sale, and that's what you look at when you go to buy seats.
One of our biggest challenges is getting people in this building in a timely fashion and ready to put on a great event for them. During the event, we are monitoring closely how the flow of traffic into our building is happening. We use different platforms, different apps from our ticketing company to tell us the rate of flow of people coming in this building. This creates an opportunity for us to either slow the flow down based on an event or speed it up by opening additional doors.
During Hornets games or events, you can find me here in the main lobby. This gives me a chance to watch all of our entrances to make sure everyone's getting in fast and efficiently. Some nights we can have 17,000 people coming in the building. When I'm here in the main lobby, I'm watching the doors, making sure everyone's getting through security and getting their tickets scanned as fast as possible. If we need to open up more doors for a larger audience, I'll have to make that call with our guest services team and with our security to open up extra doors and allow everybody to come in a fast, efficient time. We need to make sure that we can get all 17,000 people in before the game starts. That's quite the task. We use data and analytics every day. For example, with our Hornets mobile app, it gives guests an opportunity to use express lines and discounts on all their food and merchandise. From the Hornets, we get to use it as collecting data on what they're spending their money on. We look over all of that data, and we can use that to help improve guest experiences while they're in the building. And since we've introduced that, we've noticed that guests are actually spending more money at the concession stands in our merchandise booth because of the discounts and having an overall better experience in the arena. One of the things that makes my job exciting and interesting is how many different events are going on in one day at our arena. You can see, for example, they're doing a setup right now for the All-Star game.
The biggest challenge my team has right now is trying to balance creating a great environment for all of our normal events. We're having one of the biggest concert seasons we've had. Of course, the Hornets are having a great season while we prepare to host one of the largest events this city and, of course, this building has ever hosted in the NBA All-Star Game, and we are so excited it is here.
This is a huge event for us. It mixes a basketball game with a concert. We're working with operations, engineering, IT, partnerships, and we all have to come together from all different parts of the arena to make this happen.
My job is to motivate my team and to explain to them that at the end of the day, to see the excitement and the experience that all of our fans have, it is very rewarding.
Working this field has completely changed my view on how I see sporting events and concerts live. I know about all the work that goes in from everybody around the building to make it happen. Once you do this for a living, you can never look at things the same way again.
I love my job. It provides a different experience and atmosphere every day. Growing up playing basketball and being around in the sport of basketball has taught me a lot of discipline and perseverance and hard work that has made me very successful.
What I would tell kids is no matter where you're from or what you come from, whether it's up in Maine or right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, if you're passionate about something, you can chase that dream.
Thank you for joining us today. I hope you had as good of a time as I did in sharing everything that goes into the NBA, how STEM and technology impacts it, and to understand that dreaming big is important, that it doesn't matter what gender you are, it doesn't matter what race you are, it doesn't matter what country you come from, that if you encapsulate some of the great things about life, integrity, courage, commitment, the ability to apply what you learn, if you can do those things as a referee, as a teacher, as a student, that you should have the opportunities that are afforded to us all. And we're committed to that here at the NBA. I think that that's vitally important, that as we are young in the world, to imagine for ourselves a future that may seem big, but is available to us if we know that if I put the work in, if I take the hours and put the time to study and to learn my craft, to become a writer, to become an actor, to become a teacher, to become a football coach, to become a NASA astronaut, to become an astrophysicist. Any of those things are possible to us if we can only imagine it, if we can only creatively think about it, if we can only dream it. I encourage all of you to dream big, to think big, and then to pursue it. Remember, there are no overnight successes. Hard work leads to great and wonderful things.
Let's take a look now at the All-Star Virtual Field Trip assignment. So it begins here with our learning goals and success criteria. And if we scroll down, there's a link to be able to watch the video, so you can click on that and watch the video. As you're watching the video, you're going to fill out 5 facts that you learned from the video. So these facts should be math related. When you're done and you've answered and have all 5 facts here, you're going to go ahead and click next. That will take you to your before you go. Go ahead and fill out your before you go and then submit your work on Google Classroom.